The consensus from our experts was clear. We must move from a static, audit centric view and become more holistic, more proactive, and create a really sound, risk aware strategy.
Gather around as we spill the real tea on cybersecurity minus all the confusing jargon. I'm your host, Jara Rowe, and this podcast is where we cut through the confusion and get the truth about security and compliance. This is a podcast from Trava Security.
We're at the end of season 5 of the Tea on Cybersecurity. And on this season, we focused on really diving into and spilling the tea on different myths and misconceptions in cybersecurity and compliance. And I brought the experts along to give us those receipts. So on this episode, I'm going to give you the ultimate takeaway that I got from the experts on this season. I have this broken down into 3 main sections. 1, we're going to break down the misconceptions of compliance. 2, we're really going to get into how things need to continue to be continuous. And 3, we are going to future-proof our security. So first up, let's break down some of these compliance myths. A question I've really been coming across a lot is, can I get SOC 2 certified in 2 months? And Marie broke it down for us and really laid it out plain and simple that is more than likely just a sales pitch. There are a lot of moving factors when it comes to this. Are we talking about SOC 2 Type 1 or SOC 2 Type 2? When we think about 2 months, it's possible with SOC 2 Type 1 because it's really a snap in time. SOC 2 Type 2 looks at your controls and everything over a much longer time frame. When it comes down to it, though, the real tea here is that if you want to be strategic and as stress-free as possible, you need to budget about 6 months to a year to really get your SOC 2 certification. Okay, so let's continue to break down some of these compliance myths. So we talked a bit about the use of compliance automation tools or GRC tools, and Caitlin did let me know that when it comes to these automation tools, they do a great job at collecting your evidence, but they may not know all of the nuances of your business or how to really pass the information along to like an auditor. And so that's where an expert can come in. So the T here is automation tools really need that human expertise. It will help with scoping your environment, making sure you are writing tailored policies, and most importantly, defend and explain your evidence during the actual audit. Compliance tools are our friends, but for most companies, especially those small businesses, it's not the end all be all. So let's get into the next section, which is all about keeping things continuous. The major takeaway that I got from here is that once you're certified, you're not done. It is a major accomplishment and it should be celebrated because it takes a lot of time and effort to get these compliance frameworks and certifications down packed. However, it is a continuous commitment and it's not a one-time event. This continuous work is essential because frameworks and regulations are constantly changing. Just because something was set a certain way once you were audited previously, they may have changed some things. So you have to tweak your controls and policies and things like that. So if you're only treating this as like a once a year commitment, you may end up coming into some issues when it's time for that audit. So if you think about these things continuously and make those tweaks and changes as your own environments change, this will definitely keep you on track. So you may be thinking, Jara, I hear you, but how am I going to get this accomplished? We're a small team and we have different priorities. Well, to answer that, this is where experts come in and where you can outsource things like compliance. There are different services like managed compliance, or also known as compliance as a service, which is something that the Trava team offers. Experts come in and act as your third-party advisor. They manage the evidence collection for the compliance automation tools I talked about previously. They're able to monitor your changes and handle the communication with your auditors. And when you think about the ROI of this, it is huge. You get your time back to focus on your business while the experts take on your security, and you get that peace of mind knowing that your security program is in great hands. And to the final section of this ultimate receipt, it's important that we start future proofing our security postures. The consensus from our experts was clear. We must move from a static, audit centric view and become more holistic, more proactive, and create a really sound, risk aware strategy. Again, how do we do that? So, An talked to me a lot about CTEM, which is our favorite thing in cybersecurity, an acronym, which stands for Continuous Threat Exposure Management. An believes that CTEM is truly a game changing framework for a lot of smaller companies to adapt. CTEM forces your security team to stop chasing every vulnerability and instead focus on weaknesses that are exploitable today and pose the greatest risk to your business. This shift in continuous work is even more important as our attack surfaces expand. A lot of teams work remote. We all use tons of SaaS apps. And threats are only getting faster, fueled by the bad guys that like to use AI. So it is important for us to be proactive. And speaking of being proactive, I also asked the team, what should people be focusing on in 2026 when it comes to cybersecurity and compliance? And they did give us things, but I also want all of us to know that these apply after 2026 as well. But I'm just going to share with you some of the notable ones that really stuck out to me. First, it's important that you know your data. Do you know where it is, where it's being stored, how much you have? Do you know where the customer's data is being stored and who has access to that? Second, another thing to implement, which is honestly something that we can take away from the entire T on Cybersecurity podcast, is the importance of implementing MFA or multi factor authentication. All of the experts say it's one of the single most things you can do to prevent any sort of account compromise. And the last major thing I took that is an actionable thing for everyone to implement is creating an AI acceptable use policy and then train your team on that. It's important to prevent sensitive company data from accidentally getting into a public AI tool. We don't want to just be spreading all of our information about, right? All right. So we definitely covered a lot in season 5, and I gained a lot of clarity on different compliance and cybersecurity topics. And I truly hope that you all did as well. So this wraps up our season 5 recap. That was a lot of information, and I didn't even go over everything that was shared. So I truly hope you go back through and listen to every episode. And with that, I would like to let everyone know that the T on cybersecurity is going on hiatus. I definitely appreciate everyone joining me in learning about cybersecurity, and I hope that everyone else gained as much information and insight as I did. However, just because the T on cybersecurity isn't here doesn't mean that I'm going away or that Trava Security is going away. So if you have any questions or you need some clarity, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I will do my best to get an answer from you through our web of experts. Or if you simply just need help with cybersecurity or getting a compliance framework, do not hesitate to reach out to Trava. We are still here. You can contact the team at travasecurity.com. Thanks for being along on this journey with me. It was an honor.
And that's the T on cybersecurity. If you like what you listen to, please leave a review. If you need anything else from me, head on over to Trava Security. Follow wherever you get your podcasts.